I am back. Maybe, I think. Hard to say. Hard to say. I'm back and I have cake, but no face. I'm going to work on having a face for just a second here. Alright, I am back, and I seem to also have a camera feed, which is good. So, y'all have been staring at this cake for a little while. I want to talk about it because and still. Okay, third time's the charm. Let's hope this goes alright. So, for some context, CJ and I are working on a game for Tomodachi 8-in-1, and one of the scenes in that game is about picking out a cake for your girlfriend, and there's going to be a bunch of different options and a bunch of different toppings. We'd built some of those out in previous streams, and we had some, I don't know necessarily that I want to call it placeholder art, but we had some takes on cake drawings that I wanted to improve, and this is what I came up with. Here's how I built it out. I started with drawing out the full circle, full ellipse of what this cake would look like, and then used some lines too annoying to keep redoing this, but hopefully y'all can at least hear me. And I can talk you through what's going on with this cake. So, I started with this guide layer where I drew out the ellipse for what the full round cake would look like. And I brought in some straight line guides to carve out a wedge, and then extrude that straight up, and that using that I was able to make this piece of cake here that's got the exact curve of that ellipse and these straight lines coming down to the point at the top here, at the center. So then from that I ended up trying a bunch of different versions. First I figured the cake shouldn't be this exact geometric shape. We should look for some opportunities to break up that silhouette a little bit. And I also started playing with these dither patterns. And I got a few different variations of what that could look like. Maybe this is our cake, maybe this is our cake. I don't know. The one I think I'm the most happy with is this one here. And it's got that same underlying structure, but then I've added this little frosting ooze outside here, and some dithers to give us some other intermediate colors besides just the pure navy blue or the pure, I don't know, burgundy, whatever we're calling this one. Yeah, that's what we got. I figured the next thing I want to do for today is start working out some toppings to put on the cake. And we talked about doing a strawberry one, so I'm gonna get a new layer here and bring that to the top. Let's see if I can paint on the strawberry for us. I think that's pretty good shape. We gotta figure out how we're going to render this in kind of the same style as how this cake looks. So I know I need to have a shadow on this side to match the general lighting direction. Let's see. Something I might end up having to Google for if I can't figure it out. I previously made a dither brush so that I was able to handle some of this checkerboard dithering instead of drawing it in the hard way, so to speak. And I'm not really seeing how to make a brush here, so we will ask the internet about it. Okay, so I need to go to the edit menu, and I should be able to make a new brush. New brush, okay, cool. Okay. So we're going to make a new layer. This layer is going to be my brush pattern. Let's see. And I want to make this little checkerboard dither pattern. And then we'll do new brush. Select this area. Now I can paint with this, which is neat. So I'm going to delete this layer, come back to this one. Now I can paint in the strawberry. But I have lost some of the... I'm going to delete that brush, that's an empty brush, we don't need that one. Sure doesn't seem to have done anything. Alright, well, ignore it for now, but... So I want a little highlight on the strawberry, not too much, but... this pink, using this pink color as kind of a anti-alias just around the edges is going to look nice, I think. And I also think this dither looks nice as a transition, but I want to make sure that there's some full shadow going on here too, so we'll do that. It's kind of nice, I think. We're using that dither not so much as a shade tone, but just to kind of soften the boundary between the lit part and the shadow part. Make sure we've named our layers. And I'm going to give this a few variations. We'll duplicate this one. One of the things I'm thinking of trying is if this looks better with an outline, to make sure it doesn't totally blend into the cake. And if we do that, we get to pick what color we want to do that in. Pink outline's kind of nice. I don't know. Maybe. So is this peach outline. We're gonna give that a try, and I think putting the outline around the top here, and then letting this bottom part sit into the cake. Something I want to try. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. The other thing we get to decide is this one strawberry, or do we want to do multiple strawberries? So... give me a few strawberries to work with. Maybe 3? Maybe 4? Is that too many strawberries? For one piece of cake. Strawberries. What happened to my third strawberry? Hang on. Reach down. Yeah. No. Maybe. Alright. Alright, we're gonna merge these in order. That should... Now we got a layer with 3 strawberries. Like we wanted. So... I remember right, one of the other toppings we wanted to do was blueberry. Make a blueberry layer. This one definitely has to be multiple blueberries or it's not going to make any sense. I guess we get to decide whether we're going to do multiple unique blueberries or just clone them like we did with strawberry. We'll start with one. The difficult part of this is that I don't have a lot of colors to work with other than this dark blue, which is going to look a little bit too dark, a little too flat, and this bright blue, which is a little too bright. So I can only put few pixels of this bright blue before it's going to start overtaking or overwhelming the dark blue. This, I don't know what to call this color. Lavender kind of gray lavender color. I think that's gonna work out pretty good as the base here, or dithered with the darker blue. Too juicy if we put in a bright highlight. You can try 3 different options. My other thought is, as a cake topping, I feel like blueberries are often like a compote or something, and I wonder if that's something we can try to get across in pixel art. Nicer to leave highlight at the top here. Try that. The more I'm thinking about it, I think this light blue is just too bright for what we got here. Might bring in some purple. I guess I called this burgundy earlier. It is kind of a burgundy, I think. As a dither pattern with the dark blue, it makes kind of nice purple. Those are my blueberries. Kind of try to suggest the shape of a blueberry where it's got the part at the top where the stem comes in. So I don't know. That's what I think is here and here. Maybe that part's a little lighter. I don't know. have a lot of pixels to work with to get that shape across, so... Maybe I can do it. Maybe not. Wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not. I do kind of like the outlines here. I think they give it a more definite shape. Especially with the dither already making it kind of ambiguous. That's our blueberries. Let's give it a try with the outline. I'm gonna duplicate this first. Outlines with outlines. I haven't made up my mind on the outlines yet. Let's try for a few different colors. The outline color with light or gray. Light gray is not too bad. Blue's going to be a little too strong. Wasn't sure if this burgundy would work out as an outline. Kind of don't hate it though. Maybe. Or even this, lavender. Alright, I'm gonna give this a try. Be a blueberry topping. things about using the dither brush, although it's very convenient. It also means that all of your dithers are going to be aligned to the same grid, and since we have distinct blueberries, they don't have to be. We could try shifting the checkerboard for some of them, which is I'm gonna give a try on this one. I think maybe I like that better. Who knows? We got the idea of blueberries across those, so maybe I'm gonna leave that here. I do want to, like I said though, we'll do one more version, and I'm gonna see if I can do like a blueberry sauce kind of a thing with this. What that would look like. And I have another concern about this approach, which is that I don't know if I'll have enough room in my Pico 8 sprite sheet for it. I like it, maybe I'll give it a try. One of the things that I haven't really had to mess with in any of the Tomodachi games so far, doing much in the way of compression. The exception to that, for Spooky Stylon we did some, wouldn't call it compression, well, maybe it is, who knows. We did some bit packing. So that each outfit could be made out of 4 color layers instead of 16 color layers, and that gave us extra room to play in our sprite sheet. We even have a few chances to put in some stronger highlights here now that we've more or less defined the shapes. think my general approach here, I want to make sure that all of these blueberries have this lavender color going around the top as an outline, and then I want to make sure they're all, I want to call it grounded, I guess, in the sauce layer with this burgundy color at the bottom. I think following that logic is going to make this come together with a little bit more consistency. Must continue to cook the blueberries until they reach the proper consistency. I don't know. I don't know what voice that was. Somebody who knows how to do a Julia Child's impression can... You'll just have to imagine it. I think that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna clean up some stuff on the top here. I don't think it makes sense for the cake frosting to come through on this one anymore. It's not in those places. Make sure it spills over the side a little here. Who knows? I brought over some reference in my other window here. I'll let y'all take a look. What's quite interesting to me is that blueberries don't have a lot of blue going on. They do have a lot of purple going on, and also the bulk of this is almost black for most of it, and then we get this kind of mid highlight and then these sharp highlights, and I guess this lavender color is for me kind of filling in that that reflected light role. Look at just a blueberry, and these do have some blue to them, yeah. They're also, depending on the picture, more black as well. So I wonder, even I've got this navy blue for the blueberries most of the time. I wonder whether I should be using the actual black from my palette for some of these. one more version. We're gonna give this black a try. In fact, I might start with replacing this blue with the black. Then we can also try replacing this with the blue, now that that's available to us. Maybe even replace dark blue with black. We gotta replace the I don't know, y'all. It was worth a try. I don't think it's working out. Could get some of this back in here with the dither brush. Get some of this color back in here. Yeah, I'm gonna give up on this one. That's not working out for me. It's not so bad. Drawing a few shadows here. Shadows. I should have made that as a separate version. Let's duplicate. And we'll draw in some shadows. What else we got for blueberry compote? Here's some blueberry compote. I think I'm happy with that. I'm gonna leave it there. Let's see. Pulling up our Pico 8 because I want to remind myself what we decided we wanted to do for toppings. Alright, what do we have? We have... Do we have a whipped cream topping or something? Strawberry. We got blueberry. Gonna do cherries. Thought we were gonna not do cherries, but I could be wrong about that. Could be one of our toppings. Yeah, frosting and frosting with sprinkles. Or whipped cream with sprinkles maybe? I don't know. Cake options. We got chocolate cake, we got vanilla cake, we got strawberry cake, and XD random cake. Very good, very good. Alright, we're gonna do cherries, I suppose. Strawberries and blueberries. And we had candles, sparklers, or roses? I don't quite remember that, but sure. That's what our... That's what our Pico 8 file has for us, so. Let's make a new layer and do cherry. Like what's part of the challenge here is I'm already using this burgundy color as a shade tone for the cake, which means that if I use it on any of the toppings, they're not going to stand out so much. Not as much as they would otherwise anyway. Definitely need a nice highlight on this one. Too shiny? Who's to say? Who's to say? Let's actually give this a try with more pink. Yeah, it's feeling a little peachy. We were just working on bubble butt. We can bump this over to that side. A few pixels to work with. Maybe cherry with stem? Who knows? You try stem. Green stem's a little fierce. It is blue. He wonders whether I need to try a different background color, otherwise some of this is going to stand out quite as much as it probably will in the game, because I think you're probably not going to use a black background. But that said, we haven't really sussed that out yet. Try a white background. Excuse me, don't want that on the cherry layer. We'll do that here. Yeah, I think maybe this mid-gray is going to be more or less what we go with from the background. I might add some texture or some I don't know, variation to it, but I think that's going to give us enough to work with where we can try like a vanilla cake, and the white will still have enough contrast, and then this chocolate cake will still work. Alright, Cherry, I think if we're doing an outline, we should do a proper outline. Except that we're doing an outline to do it. Okay. There, and then we'll give ourselves some variations to work with as well. What if we outline this? Gray's not going to work, especially if it's the background color. This thing could maybe work. I wonder even if I don't want to erase the bottom on this one, or just leave it as this very, you know, cherry on top kind of a thing. Which of course it is, so. Where do you put the cherry on a cake? Go here, go on the side. In the center? We'll put it in the center. Alright, one thing I want to try with this as well I think we gotta try a little frosting swirl or a little whipped cream poof. A dollop if you will. I think I spend a lot of time tweaking things with my single pixel brush here, which is not the most efficient. But for Pico 8 resolution, maybe it's not so inefficient either. This canvas size that I'm on is quite large actually, because I wanted to have enough room to plan out the full cake guides, but the actual size of the screen in Pico 8 is just this this smaller square here. Green dubbing, okay. Do our favorite outline thing here too. Question is, we bring in this whipped cream and then put the cherry on top. How does that look? Something like that. I kind of like it. Making this cherry a pixel taller though. A little reflected light at the bottom, does that work? Yeah, leave red. That's fine. Alright, I want to come back to this, those roses here that I had on the Pico 8 cartridge, and I think the idea was for those to be like the frosting roses that you pipe on. Like one of these. Those pretty good piped frosting roses. Get it to stay on top, or is it gonna? No. All right. play with this idea that like each rose petal here has a little highlight on the rim, and then we use this pink for the body. Part of the problem I have with this is the this burgundy is the most obvious shade color to use, but it looks a little too dark. Wonder if we can try some other options. How's it gonna work? It's gonna be too light. That could maybe work. Be too strong. I think that's gonna have to be our guy then. We'll give that a try. The other thing I can do to make the shadow part not as strong is just use less of it. So we can best to include shadow pixels only where we need them. This checkerboard dither again. Do we need the whole outline? Try the whole outline. Yeah, that really is just too dark. Okay. For this second rose, I think I do want it to be distinct, but I want to start with this shape, and then we'll make a variation. So I think I will have to save that for another time. I see we are at the end of our stream time. we'll be back next time, not on the 8th, but on the 15th at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Hope to see you there. I'll probably be working on some more pixel art. And maybe trying to put some of this into the game. Alright, and sorry everyone for the difficulty with camera. Hopefully that'll be fixed next time as well. Take care.